So do you guys have any idea what small talk is?
Just talking.
Just talking?
Yeah.
Talking about what?
When I go to my grandma, she asks me what I do. I think that's small talk.
Mm-hmm. She expressed interest in what you did,
it's
right?
like what I do.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So what do you think small talk is? It's something that you, when you share your experiences with other people,
Yeah.
so just plainly sharing, right?
Yeah, talking about your life, your experiences, I guess.
It's a good way to get to know somebody.
If you want to get to know somebody, that's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So small talk, which is what we're going to learn today. So it's a polite conversation. So I want to focus your attention to our PowerPoint presentation. So small talk is a polite conversation about unimportant or uncontroversial matters, especially as engaged in a social occasion. So it's informal, it's casual conversation, and mostly people do it to start off a conversation. Just like when you just first meet a person, right? So you ask them,
How's the weather?
how's the weather? Perfect, that's a perfect
So
example. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like what we did earlier, as an introduction to our class, I asked you what you did for the weekend, right? Yeah. So that's when people use small talk. So uncontroversial matters. What do you think that is?
Not politics.
Oh, not politics. That's a good example. What else? What else do you think are uncontroversial or unimportant matters?
So the Padres, maybe. I don't know.
Yes.
Sports. Yes, I like that. That's very, very good. Sports. How about news?
Well,
About the news, like the typhoon in,
okay, weather,
in
typhoon.
Texas. Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
And weather.
Yeah.
So talking about sports, talking about the weather, it's really not. It's unimportant. It's informal. It's just a way of communicating with other people, of connecting with them, right? Right. So now, who makes small talk?
Everybody.
Everybody makes small talk. Yeah, especially those who do not know each other. So as an introduction, right? We already talked about it earlier. We mentioned it earlier. That, for example, Mr. Jeremy was introduced to Mr. Sean, right? So, for example, I will Mr. Jeremy. I would like you to meet Mr. Sean.
Yeah.
Well,
Small talk. How you doing?
How
Right?
are you?
How are you? How
You
are
like
you
this
doing
class? Miss
today?
Jackie is nice.
yeah. Right. Top though.
Todd.
Yes, right? Because it's not polite to just say hi, hello, and then just end the conversation. Most of the time, people say, "How are you doing? Are you doing fine?" or something like that, right? Yes. So, also, it also applies to if you get introduced to a friend of a friend, just like we did earlier, and also with people who may not be good friends, but you are in the same event. I put quotations there because, for example, you are in a party and you don't know each other. That's an event, and you wanna talk to people because it's a party. That's what people do in a party, and it's rude if you just sit in the corner, right, and don't talk to people. So people make small talk in those events. And also some people, here are some examples of the people who make small talk. Customer service representatives, right? When you call on the phone. Waitresses, especially waitresses. Hairdressers, receptionists, and the like. Oh, and also it says here that sometimes your mailman. Have you ever talked to your mailman before? Made small talk, asked them how they are?
Yeah.
I know that my husband talks to our mailman all the time. And I think our mailman knows that we got married. Now they're in the personal stuff. Okay, so that's the who. Now, where do people usually make small talk?
At events.
At events. Where else?
I think at the bus stop. When I'm waiting for something, my bus.
Yes, perfect. That's perfect example. While we're waiting for something, for example, at the bus stop or at the doctor's office.
The bonds and grocery store, yeah.
Yes, when you're in the line, waiting in line, right? Sometimes you see a magazine, and then talk to the person in line about the magazine. That's just a simple example. So, and again, some social events like a birthday party,
Yeah.
or party at school, Halloween parties, right? It requires you to make small talk among guests who you do not know, right? And then when do people make small talk? When and why?
When they're introduced to someone, or
Yes, as
Pass the
introduction.
time, the awkward
pass-
silence.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Yes. So, Mr. Jeremy, thank you so much for focusing your attention on the PowerPoint
I can't read that.
presentation.
Good. I'm here to learn.
Yes. No. That's very good. So I put it here so that you will be able to see it, and then so that's visual, and then also audio because I will be saying it. So, you should only spark up a conversation after someone smiles and acknowledges you. Why is that?
that's welcoming.
Yeah.
It's welcoming, and also, what if the two of us were talking, but then Mr. Jeremy wants to make small talk? Is that appropriate?
Yeah.
I don't want to interrupt.
Exactly, because Mr. Jeremy will be interrupting, right? And also, it's a good time to make small talk during break times or meetings because you're not interrupting anything, because nothing is going on because it's a break. So that's the perfect time to make small talk. And also, it is very important to recognize when to stop with the small talk. So can you give me some examples of how you know when to stop? What are the signals coming from the person that wants to stop the conversation?
They're looking away.
They're looking away,
When they
yes.
say, okay,
When they say okay
Oh.
at least 3 times,
I think I
right?
have to go.
Perfect.
If they're walking away.
If they're
Walking
walking
away,
away,
yeah, that's
yes.
it.
Yes. So, okay, yes. And also this one, why do people make small talk? So we kind of already talked about that. To break an uncomfortable silence, just like what Mr. Jeremy said. To fill time in order to be polite when you're at a party, right? And after someone introduces you to another person. Okay? Now, okay, follow-up questions. When someone talks to you, like when they say, "Oh, how are you?" and then you say, "I'm fine, thank you." Do you end the conversation there? I mean, obviously the person wants to make conversation with you, right? The person wants to make small talk. So follow-up questions. When I ask you, "How are you?" and then you say, "I'm fine," as a follow-up question, how would you communicate that with me?
Well,
What can you ask?
How are you?
Exactly. I'm fine. How are you? Right? Right? Or when I'm starting to talk about what I did in the weekend, and then you can also share what you did on the weekend. Right? So who, what, when, where, how, why are the perfect questions that you can ask as a follow-up question to the person that's talking to you. Right? So, another example is I tell you that I went to a party, and then you can ask me, "Oh, who were there? What party is it? Is it for a birthday? Is it just a party that you wanted to throw? When was it?" Right? Those are the examples of follow-up questions that you can ask the person. Yeah? Do you understand? Do you have any questions at this point?
sounds good.
Sounds good? Alright, perfect. Now let's do some self-check. Okay? I have your few questions, and you just gotta tell me if it's true or if it's false. Give me a thumbs up if you understand. Okay. It is common to use small talk when waiting in a long line. True or false?
True.
True. It is inappropriate to make small talk with your mailman.
False.
False.
It's okay. False.
Well, it's actually true or false because if you know that the mailman is in a rush, just like what happened to our mailman before, then it's not really a good time because you're interrupting his work. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. It is rude to interrupt a conversation in order to make small talk.
That's true.
That is true.
True.
And one reason people use small talk is to eliminate an uncomfortable silence.
True.
True. Alright. Very good. Great job, you guys.
100%.
100%. Okay, let's go to the next ones. Now, the next slides that I'm going to show you are some appropriate topics to talk about during small talk. We already established that weather is a good topic, right? Weather, sports, news. What else? Did we say introductions?
TV shows.
Talk about TV shows. That is good too, like watching movies, TV shows. Introductions, right? When you see somebody, when you see a person that you haven't seen in a long time, or you just met this person, right? Introductions. We already talked about it earlier. Universal topics. So weather, news, sports, entertainment, right? Like, did you watch Game of Thrones last week?
Yeah.
Alright. And then, alright, so most common is, how was your day? Or when you're at your workplace, you say, hi Tom, how are things going over at your classroom? So this is not really, well, the workplace is your classroom. So because you're not at work yet. Yeah. Observations. I love your shoes today. Yeah, so those are good. Remember, small talk is also used as a conversation starter. So you can ask these questions to start a conversation with your friends or to someone that you want to mingle with. Right? Okay. Common interests. Okay. Questions. And also questions. Hey, I heard you were thinking of adopting a dog. Did you find one? So essentially, small talk, you have to express that you're interested in talking to that person.
Yeah.
Right? So you're interested in what's going on in their lives. Another subject, real quick. Is religion is a safe topic when making small talk?
People in the church, maybe. I don't know.
No.
I guess not.
No.
Yes. It is false because it makes people uncomfortable. Right? Right. So if you're making small talk, that's a #1 rule that topics that you choose shouldn't make the other person feel uncomfortable. Sports is not a safe topic when making small talk.
False.
False.
It is a safe.
It is very, very safe. One should never comment on another person's body.
I guess
It is true. Yes, good or bad, age, body, or pregnancy. I have done that before. I thought this lady was pregnant. Turns out she was not. So, that's not a good topic. Politics is a controversial subject. Yes or no? True or false?
False if it's in the current events. But otherwise,
So, like for example, if you are talking about which president you like,
that's controversial.
that's controversial. So those are the topics to avoid. It is okay to discuss the weather in an elevator.
Yeah, true.
Yes. So weather is always a good topic. Alright. Now I want you guys to focus your attention on our video presentation. It's only 3 minutes and it's going to talk about some of the other appropriate topics for small talk.